Well, good morning, everybody. This is Mike Thompson. We are studying the life of Christ, doing it in a chronological way. The last two videos, if you watched them, last two devotions, were out of order. And what it was is, as I was going through the videos, I realized two of them got put into a draft format and wasn't posted. So those last two was a little bit out of order, but I still did them, and I thought, well, I still wanted to throw them out there. So we're on our 42nd 5-minute or less study of Christ. Today we're going to look at the parable of the mustard seed. The parable of the mustard seed. And of course we all know that a parable is an earthly story with a spiritual meaning or a heavenly meaning. So we're going to look at this. This is in the book of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And I'd like to read Luke to you. It's just 2 verses, and we're going to talk about it. Let's go ahead and read Luke chapter 13, verse number 18. Then said he, "Unto what is the kingdom of God like? And thereunto shall I resemble it?" They're asking a real simple question. What's the kingdom of God like? Well, how can we compare God's kingdom with something that we understand? And verse number 19 says, "It is like a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and cast into his garden. And it grew, and waxed a great tree, and the fowls of the air lodged in the branches of it." So this here is talking about, it's called the parable of the mustard seed. And he says the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. So I don't have a mustard seed in my hand, but if I did, it would be very, very, very small. And he talks about this mustard seed. It is how God's kingdom is. And that this mustard seed, as it is so small, it's put into the ground, but then when it grows, it can become a tree. Now, everybody knew at that point that the mustard seed wouldn't become a enormous tree. Like, it's not one of those record, trees like out in California. But it becomes about the size of a fairly large fruit tree, large enough that you could climb up in it or ride a horse underneath it. And people understood that. So it wasn't the size of the tree, but it was the looking at the size of that little seed, how insignificant that little seed was, and how that little seed, once it was put in the ground, it grew into this marvelous tree. Now, there's a lot of different views on what this parable means. I'd like to share a couple of them with you. One is the seed could be talking about Jesus, because Jesus at that time was just he was one man, one person. He had some followers following him. And of course he died like a seed is put into the ground. And then of course he rose. And look at what Christianity has done to the world. The comparison of God in the flesh being a small seed, humbled seed, and how the tree has grown into this great ministry that has affected the entire world. And then the birds that came into it, it says the fowls of the air lodged in its branches. And the bad thing of it is when he talks about the birds, normally this is speaking of evil things that can come into the kingdom of God. The bad things of the church, the tares of the church, the leaven of the church. And so he said that's what the kingdom of God is like. It's like something very small that grown to a very large size, and the comparison, and that's what's going to happen to the kingdom of God. And that's exactly what happened. Because Christ lived on this earth for 33 and a half years, and he preached, he proclaimed, he died, he was buried, he rose again, and it changed the whole world. And of course, evil always attacks good, but God is more powerful than evil. So today, I guess that's the only thing I'm going to cover because I'm almost out of time. But I want you to think as you go out into this world, the seeds that you plant, the little seeds of kindness that you can plant into someone's heart, never minimize it, because those seeds can grow into a wonderful plant. All right, so I want to encourage you today to try to find an opportunity to plant a seed and let it grow. Don't worry about the evil birds that come in. Just plant the seed. God bless you. Have a good day.